Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The guys are here, the chat is ready, and the conversation starts now.
Hey, all good. It's your boy Jimbo Dean, aka Jimbo Slice, aka Jimmy Obama. Call me any one that you want. Please do not call me no New Orleans Saints fan. Hey, we're starting to hear from the position coaches, and I'm loving that. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, man, boy, Mike Dub this week, man. I think the good thing is for me, the draft is behind us. Season is still in front of us. So, that's another milestone check. We got some new guys that I think, man, they're gonna look really good on this team. I know we got a lot of time to talk about it. So as always, it's great to be able to talk Dirty Birds. Another successful draft. Toby D, great to see you. How you doing this week, big dog?
Man, I'm feeling good. I almost thought I wasn't gonna make it in here, but I'm glad to be with tonight. Hey, listen, man, I'm gonna tell y'all right now in the chat, man. Y'all need to make sure y'all in here with us when we doing videos, live streams, cause man, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, all four of us have been hot on the trail of the Atlanta Falcons this year. We've been more in touch, one heartbeat, man. And y'all don't want to miss it, man, because we've been out in front of this thing with the Kyle Pitts, talking about what the position coaches are going to want. We got confirmation on that. Talking about the other draft picks and making great choices on those coming in. And hey, man, I'm feeling real good right now this year.
Yeah, no, it's definitely looking like it's just like I put with the title and the thumbnail. It's starting to come into focus now, in what the team wants, what the team is looking for, and what they're trying to achieve as far as players, as far as philosophies. We're getting like a real interesting look into the philosophies of some of the coaches that we have on staff. We got a good interview today with some of the position coaches with John Hoke and Ledford. What's Dwayne Ledford. That's it.
Dwayne Ledford.
Yeah, Dwayne Ledford. I keep wanting to say like D. Orlando, which is not. I mean, that's the reporter. That's not the O-line coach. Okay, look, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't ever really remember a interview with Chris Morgan. Like, I don't remember him talking. Do you? Okay.
Uh-oh.
I must have just blocked it out of my mind,
Yeah, good thing.
Okay. I was about to say
that was better blocking than we was able to do up front.
Yeah. They definitely kept him hidden there the last few years for sure. But like I said, we're starting to get some like sound bites from position coaches. Had a good interview with Fontenot on Sirius XM, where he pretty much stated that Kyle Pitts was their pick, like straight up. Is the way he put it. That they had entertained like listening to calls, but nobody really was giving them anything like blowing the doors away, blowing their skirts up, so to speak. So they said from word go that they were pretty much locked into Pitts. Now, that could be just straight up and down the equivalent of, what we call coach speak. That could just be GM speak. I don't think any GM's going to walk into a press conference after the draft going, well, we got some guys. Like it's all of them are going to be their guys. You know what I'm saying? These are the guys that we wanted. Of course, after the fact. But needless to say, it is it was somewhat refreshing to hear that it seems like regardless, that Pitts was going to be their pick, that everybody was pretty excited about it. And then we started to get some sound bites from, like I said, the O-line coach talking about some of the things that he's seen from, the guys that they did pick. The quote here about Jalen Mayfield, it says, I think, Jalen, when you watch his film, that's something that stuck out with me was his play style. You saw that he likes to mix it up he likes to get after people. So that is, that right there is showing you that, that nasty attitude, that almost like Harvey Dahl-esque attitude, is something that stuck out to Ledford. And, he went along with it by saying, he used the quote talking about like the pride of protecting Matt Ryan, which I found that to be, an interesting choice of words there. That, pass protection equaled pride, run blocking equaled attitude. And I thought that was an interesting take. So what were some of y'all's takes on what Ledford had to say?
Go ahead, Jimmy, hit it up.
Well, I figured out I heard a good little tidbit on Ledford and Dahlman, the center that we picked up from Stanford. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that Dahlman dad taught Ledford how to snap. Oh. And that's a pretty good tidbit right there. I like that one. I like that. So with connections, what they're doing and how they're doing it's pretty good. And it's pretty good to hear finally from the position coaches. You'll get to know them, and me and Mike probably, and Toby probably. I mean, JR, we might do get to know the coaches segment, a show here on Pound for Pound ATL, where we'll let them know who coaches are, so you won't be lost in the shuffle once they start to come out and talk about their players and everything like that. But I'm starting to feel good about this O-line coach, because he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He's no nonsense type of guy, but let's hope he put better film out there, put better players out there than the last regime did, because they was kind of on sometimes, then they was off. There wasn't consistency. So hopefully Ledford to bring some consistency to this group, and they'll play a little better. And it's wide open. I mean, Matthews, certain guys already got their position, but it's three of them that's still wide open. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that competition come this summer.
They said the only people locked in was Chris Lindstrom and Jake Matthews. That was it. The starting left guard spot was open, the center's open, right tackle's open, which is something we've been thinking about, but that kind of confirmed it today that, Caleb McGarry better come in ready to play too.
Absolutely. Yeah, and JR, I go back to a conversation that we all shared a couple of weeks ago. I said, it's a little bit odd. When I look a little bit at these picks, I'm thinking, like, does Terry Fontenot see something in Caleb McGarry that he may not like? I think maybe being on the side of where Cameron Jordan was coming from with those 3 sacks, they may have exploited something there. And I think that these type of players, I wouldn't discount, Mayfield potentially as our right tackle. I think what makes Mayfield a little bit of a wild card is I heard it come out of his mouth is that he's prepared to play any position on the offensive line. He was like, hey, you put me at center. So it would be a complete luxury if that guy just played center for us, just for all intents and purposes. Because if we had the luxury of a Mayfield and then we put Dahlman at guard or Hennessy at guard, but those are the possibilities that, we've kind of started to bake in. Now, we didn't have those possibilities 2 weeks ago. So all I'm saying is that just the fact that we've gotten quality depth, that's going, that's what puts you in a position to be able to play winning football. Not to say that that's going to make us win the game, but put us in position to play winning football. Oh yeah,
for sure. That is the fact that they're talking about yet again, and we feel like we have to do this every year. We're going to put the best 5 together because protecting Matt Ryan has been the priority. Well, okay, like y'all say it, but is it the priority? Because, I hadn't necessarily seen it. Now, there is some stuff floating around talking about, Matt Ryan being responsible for, X amount of percentage of his sacks. Well, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of quarterbacks are probably responsible for a certain percentage of the sacks that they take, whether they hold the ball too long, trying to force something downfield. I mean, when you're playing from behind and you have no run game, you might be holding the ball too long, and that's something he's going to have to clean up, like flat out. That's something that he's going to have to fix is, holding that ball too long or, just taking an unnecessary sack. Throw the ball away. There's plenty of different things you can do that doesn't necessarily equal you taking a sack. So, you might have a little bit of something I might do some research on in the later part of his career. I wonder if Peyton Manning started taking more sacks. Like as in, here comes the rush. I'm going down to preserve, my body, to preserve where we are, like, so to speak, on the field. You see what I'm saying? Right. I'm like, because that's something I seem to remember with Peyton Manning is that he'd go down, like, if you got close to him, he was hitting the deck. And
it just falls
right. Like, you didn't really even have to necessarily sack Peyton Manning because he was just going to go down. And there could be some of that kind of, logic behind it. I'm not sure. That's just something that entered my head here. I haven't really had time to, think about, really process that. But that's why y'all are here, right? That's why y'all watch it live is because you get to see it's just, sometimes not necessarily process at all. But now we got Jimmy back, which is great. He was unable to because of real life work situation. We all work. We all provide for our families and stuff. So he was unable to really join us the second and third night. So I'm really interested to get into your thoughts about some of these picks. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and jump in chat and say hello to everybody. So King J 118 says, "Good afternoon, everyone. What's going on, buddy?" Same thing with Jarvis Williams, B Stan, Reggie 2K, and Nick G2K. All y'all are saying what's up. What's going on? Glad y'all are here tonight. Joshua, what's up? Jarvis Williams says, starting O-line, McGarry, Lindstrom, Dahlman, Mayfield, and Matthews. And that's a bet. That is a strong possibility that it could work out just that way. I mean, Hennessy's going to have to come in and really show and prove it. I mean, this regime has no ties to Hennessy, so they may not be as willing or as lenient depending on what Ledford sees out of him, right? B Stan says, between Julio, Ridley, and Pitts, who has the 1, 2, 3 in targets this year? I think Pitts is number 3, but year 1, but moves into 1 or 2 by year 2. That's something we can get into here in a little bit, because there's only one ball, and it's only going to go around so much. So it's going to be interesting to see where these targets go. I got a thought on that, but we'll jump into that here later. Well, Willie Doc says, what's good? Good evening, pound for pound. Tonight's vocabulary word is protuberant. Hi, Willie.
Oh, wow.
You might have to give me the definition and use it in a sentence.
Hey, Mike.
Can't just be throwing protuberant at me. I don't know what it means.
I think JR is on point when he says use
that's right,
it in a sentence.
You might be having me cussing in another language. I can't be just doing that.
That's not okay. I'll take Adekumbo Okundeji, but no, this one right here, I've seen it, but that one I've never even heard.
I ain't never heard nobody use that one. That's right. Philip Bonner and Joseph say,
when will it Doc start?
Studio Pepe says, pound for pound is the place to be. Hello, fam. What's going on, Stu?
Man, what's going on,
man? Steve? I am. Kings brought up, like, I heard we might show interest in Brian Poole and Justin Houston. I saw that tweet, but I don't know how verifiable that source is. No, I went back and kind of scrubbed through that account, and it doesn't really look like anything else that they have said has come to fruition. So I know we all would love to have Brian Poole back, and it may happen, but I don't know how much I put much faith in that one, right? All right. So now that we have kind of gotten chat caught up here a little bit, Jimmy, I want to get your initial thoughts on let's start at the top. You are our resident secondary guy. I probably lean on you more than I should, but when I have an outlet of information, I tend to use it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to give it up, so to speak. So what were your initial thoughts when we selected Richie Grant? I'm super excited about him, but I want to know if my excitement is warranted.
And I'm gonna tell you something. I think it is, JR. Now, some people out there are gonna say, "Look, man,
he haven't played the NFL down yet, Jimbo. Calm down." But when you got a coaching staff like you got, and then you take the players, see, that's the key right there.
You want the players to match the
Right.
coach, the coaching style, and the versatility. You want that stuff to line up perfectly. If it line up just right, then you win for something. Now, we don't see players come here, be good, go somewhere else, and not do good. We don't see some players be on another team, not good, come to another team, be good. I think this is a kind of a getting your guy right off the bat that's going to be good in your system and in your scheme.
Now, I like his versatility. First, as soon as I seen it, I thought about his versatility. And I can remember in the draft house way back when me and Mike did, and I brung his name up, and Mike was like, "Oh man, you could get him in the 3rd or the 4th round. You get him in the 5th round, can't you?" I said, "I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't know. I'm starting to really like this kid. He's starting to jump off the tape." And Mike kind of changed his tune really quick, kind of how he did with Toby D and
Yeah, I'm still
Cisco.
wondering if that
But as soon
Achilles
as-
healed up there, Mike, when you jumped off that train. Oh, yeah.
It was hell, but after this weekend, I reheard.
Oh, okay.
So I'm back. I'm out of there, man. Don't worry about me.
about you.
But hey, look, we gotta love the pick,
Oh, yeah.
guys. It's gonna fit just right, and as the longer it goes, the better he's gonna get. I think
I
under
agree.
DPs and that coaching staff over there.
Now, I
like
will
it.
say this about Grant.
Go ahead, Jay.
And then we'll go around as well. But initially, I was very much like I had sold myself on Morig. I did the one thing that like you shouldn't do going into the draft, and convince yourself that you got to have this player, or it's going to be a bust kind of deal. And I'd kind of done that with Morig. But after spending some time going back and looking more over what Dean Pease has done in the past and likes to do, and something we can get into here in a minute. But I think Richie Grant fits that way better. Because it was a quote that kind of let you know from Fontenot on the second day of the draft when talking about Grant. He said, he'll take the ball away from you or knock your head off. And that was something that kind of stuck out to me in that scheme versatility, in the stuff that Dean Pease likes to run, being able to switch out that safety to better, even more so, confuse the offense. I think being able to do that with Richie Grant is going to, far and away help us more than what Morig brought. Like, I like the fact that you could lock somebody down with Morig. Like, I thought that was the part that I was like very interested in.
Right.
But I think Richie Grant's going to fit way better. Mike, I think I cut you off. Were you going to say something?
No. It's all good. It's all good because I know it's just value on value because you know how we do it. We're gonna wait and we're gonna talk about it because I think that just was absolutely when we go back to one of our draft houses when we talked about Richie Grant. The guy that I get the biggest shout out is actually an interview JR and I did with Eric Robinson of the Falcoholic way back in I don't know, maybe
right
February, March, when we right after the Senior Bowl, we asked him, we were like, who was the most impressive player at the Senior Bowl? And he didn't even hesitate and said Richie Grant. Richie Grant just showed up immediately. He made plays. So I think, when you use the word versatility, I think is right on because, you look at Richie Grant and you think that he is a glue guy. I think his personality, his ability to come in as a safety, again, we harp on this, we're on this hill. He is a actual safety that we drafted to play the safety position, not a corner, converted to play safety. Toby D, what you got, man?
Let me tell y'all something. If y'all didn't think them draft houses helped us,
right.
Okay. That's why I say y'all got to get in on it, man. Because this year, I don't know what it is. We've been like one heartbeat, man. We 5 heartbeats right now with the Falcons, man. Because we've been blessed and humbled to be on right now with where they're going and what they're doing. Have we been right about everything? No, I can tell you right now. I was definitely wrong that one year. I think 2018, it was just a crapshoot. It wasn't good. But I'm gonna tell you, man, that cover one, as in the words of Jimmy say, it's gonna be off the easy because blitzes is gonna be crazy. When you got somebody instinctive and intelligent as Richie Grant on the back end, man, that really watches the quarterback's eyes and see what the quarterback gonna do, and he's gonna be forced to have to make some crazy mistakes when we getting out there with 5-6 man pressures with 13 P's dialing it up. And that's one of the biggest reasons I think why you got this guy, Richie Grant, because that cover one, man, him single high safety on that back end and being able to allow us to be able to get to the quarterback and force him to make a mistake. If we can't sack him, I'm definitely excited about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt,
Absolutely.
no doubt. Now, but I feel like in a lot of ways, I feel like the first and second pick, first round, second round pick were home runs, were locks. And then, okay, to me, it was almost like a perfect example. The first and second round picks we're building, not building, we're picking for now. And then after that, the other 7 picks almost felt like we're building for now, but mainly for the future, so to speak. Like Dahlman could come in and start at center, but he doesn't have to come in and start at center. Like Mayfield could come in and start at left guard, doesn't have to come in and start at left guard. Then you got Darren Hall, could come in and be a slot guy or another, corner. Doesn't necessarily have to. So I felt like that's how the rest of the draft went. And speaking of Hall, Jimmy, have you had a chance to really look into some of his tape? Because I know, the early comments that were coming out was like, oh, we drafted another KZ. And that doesn't necessarily fill me with a ton of confidence.
Hey, but look, I dug in on it. As soon as I seen the pick, I dug in on it. I did as much as I can until I got time to do more. Look here. I can remember when Kyle Fuller got released from the Chicago Bears. Y'all hear me out, right? And I wanted Kyle Fuller real bad. And y'all that follow me on Twitter, y'all seen that. And I had Toby D cracking up all the stuff I was trying to send to Terry and them. But look here, man. We got a similar player. He remind me of Kyle Fuller a lot. And let me tell you why. He attacked the ball, and he ain't scared of nobody. I'm real confident in his pick. And now, if you want to, you can move him. You can have him at that nickel, and he's a dime. He can play that dime too. 6 foot, right at 6 foot, bigger corner. So when I seen it, and I've been kind of watching it, he's definitely not KZ. Okay. No way, shape, or form. This is not KZ. Bigger than KZ, a little stronger than KZ, and he attack a little bit better. He don't. You know how KZ was a tad bit late. Yeah. This guy don't be late. This guy be one step ahead.
Okay. No,
that actually get a lot of picks.
That makes you feel better. Because I mean, how many times did we talk about on the show KZ getting picks because essentially he was in the right place, wrong time, or right time, wrong place. However you wanted however you wanted to go about it, right? and that was the way we kind of always described KZ. And when I started seeing those early comparisons, I was like, "Oh God, that's not." Well, I mean, because it's hard to. You can't really fault me. He come from the same school. If we're gonna knock a quarterback from coming from a school saying, "Oh, well, it's that system." Well, can't it be the same thing on a defense? I mean, isn't that why we don't necessarily draft defensive ends out of Missouri? It's because of their system doesn't necessarily translate to the NFL, or at least that's what I've always heard. But anyway, so the last guy I wanted to ask you about, and obviously we can get into whoever, but last guy I want to ask you about was the Avery Wilson. Is that the right name? Okay.
Avery
Williams. I said Wilson. Williams. Now, when I saw him, my initial thought was, okay, this guy's a punt returner. Special teams is probably where he's going to make his bread and butter. And so I kind of logged that in a way. I was like, all right, I'll get back to him a little bit later. But do you have any early thoughts on him? Do you think he could carve out more of a role than just special teams?
I think so, if you want to go more of a dime. Now, I don't know if y'all remember a guy by the last name of Brown that played for the New England Patriots. He was a receiver, he was a punt returner, he was a kick returner, and he was a DB. So I'm looking at this guy, and I heard often them kind of say, this guy can play offense, defense, special teams, he can play all three of them. Right. I can see them using him, block punts, he do it all. So I can see them using him in special situations. Now, if you want to call on for him to be that special team lock, that's what he's going to do. You're right, JR. That's his bread and butter. But you got that extra dime that can come in and be a robber, and he can come off the end and he can blitz. That's the type of guy you want in special packages. And I can see DP using him as like a Swiss Army Swiss knife. Whenever he wants something really to get done and throw the offense off, throw Avery Williams in there and let's see what he can do. Because the boy is fast.
Okay, no, that's good. Because now, Toby, something I want to, we can go ahead and now, while I say that, I skipped over Mike. I don't know, Mike, do you have anything you want to add to any of this at this moment?
Well, JR, I'm always gonna speak for myself. You
I
know
know
what I
you
mean?
are.
Regardless when you come to me, you know what I
Yes.
mean. But no, it's all love. You know
Mike.
what I mean? I'm over here, man. I gotta wake myself up. JR,
Come on
but
with
no,
it.
I'm good,
I
man.
know that corporate
No, it's
world
all love.
sometimes can be rough.
It's all
on you.
love. No, man, no. This we talking dirty birds, man. That ain't got nothing to do with these dirty birds. Anyway, one thing I will say though, man, just real quick. No, it's all love, guys. But no, one thing I'll say real quick is I think one game that probably we might have understated in watching last year was the San Diego State versus Boise State game, because both of those boys put on a show in that game. It's almost like Terry Fontenot looked at that game and said, man, it's a lot of value out here. And he took Xavier Williams, who I believe had a kick return to the house, punt return to the house. So like you said, the boy can really do it all. I think that, I didn't really think about him as kind of like a defensive Swiss Army knife, because he is a guy that is athletic enough to blitz. He's got that quick speed. Like I said, we got different player profiles on this team. So, again, those are two guys. And I think, Jimbo, back to what you talked about on Darren Hall, I'm like, you're absolutely right. He is a lot stronger, 6 feet, 190 pounds, feisty guy. Looks like he's going to fight for every rep. And I mean, to be honest with you, he looks like a guy that I would actually prefer to see a little bit more on the outside. I know, they're kind of slating him to play on the inside, but I think he's feisty enough to, be a nice duo, with an AJ Terrell and potentially move a Moreau or somebody inside. But anyway, no, like I said, two solid picks. Again, another example of Terry F. Getting the best player available, and they fit our profile for the future. So I love it.
So what I want to kind of like transition into now is not necessarily like I ain't trying to come off the draft. It's still a big topic. The chat's going back and forth about TD as a GM and comparing it to Terry Fontenot's first draft. And I will say this real quick. Thomas Dimitroff had some hits, but the more I look back on it with rose-colored glasses, the more I'm not necessarily as in favor of what he did. He had a lot of misses, and if you're in somewhere for 13 years, you're gonna have that happen. So, I'm not gonna sit here and just dog on him, but as of right now, the first offseason and the first draft, Terry Fontenot and his staff are showing some promise, and we're gonna see how they build on it. I mean, I do have some questions on the defensive line guys that we took. Big AO out of Notre Dame and Taquan Graham out of Texas. They really seem like they are similar to guys that we already had on this roster. So now we seem like we have a lot of the same guys. You see what I'm saying? Then where I was looking for more of an edge presence, or maybe a true nose tackle, to clog up the middle. We didn't come away with one of those. So now both of those guys could turn out to be solid players, but I think for them to be solid players, they're going to have to take some jobs that are already on this roster. And which is interesting and it's good. But, how does a Kaminsky respond? How does a Marlon Davidson respond? How does, a Stephen Means-esque type player, respond to all this? But anyway, now, Toby, you were reading some stuff earlier about Pease. You sent us a real interesting article about how they defended New England. And from what you're reading there, how do you think that applies in a sense? Like I don't want to go in like super deep because, like I said, this is the live show. It's more about us just chatting and talking with chat. But you, like I said, you sent us an interesting article and I want to kind of get a 30,000 foot view of that.
I'm just gonna tell you as simple as this: they threw the house at Tom Brady, and that's what you gotta do. You can't give Tom Brady steal shots because he's gonna tear you up. You also can't do all of that dropping, dropping in space type stuff on Tom Brady because he's gonna eat you up that way too. You gotta be able to harass his guys and dog them out. That's how you get him. You got to man up on him and force him to have to make throws in tight spaces because that's how you get Tom Brady. And you can't give him steal shots. And that's what they did to Tom Brady in 2018 in Week 10. They threw every coverage that they can think of at Tom Brady Dean Pease didn't hold nothing back from cover 2, from pattern matching, from invert cover 2. Everything you think of, cover 3, all of that stuff. Because when you do stuff like that, that's what's going to shake Tom Brady up. But see, not just Tom Brady. What people got to understand, we're in a new NFL now where a lot of college is affecting and influencing what the NFL is. You got, back in the day, you used to have these rookies come in and they would have to learn the offense of the NFL. But now you got offensive coordinators that the light don't went off saying, hey, we need to incorporate what they did in college because the college game has influenced the NFL. And so now you got to have coaches, defensive coordinators that understand that. And it's helpful if you got a college background where you went and coached in college like Dean Pease has, and then coming up into the NFL ranks and stuff like that, because you need to be able to use them same coverages against these rookies now who OCs are taking their playbooks and incorporating it into the NFL of today. Because if you don't do that, they're going to kill you, just like other quarterbacks used to kill you with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and all of them too, because they understand. That's why pattern matching is a big, huge thing, because college does it a lot.
Now, friend of the show, Adam Holloway, he tweeted out a link to a podcast that had an interview with Dean Pease from last year when Dean Pease was retired, and I'll put that, like, y'all can I'll tweet that out later after the show for those who follow me and want to listen to it. But it was an amazing interview that gave you a real good insight into the mind of Dean Pease, and for those who want to better understand the defensive mind that is taking over our defense, I highly recommend going to listen to that podcast, because I really got a strong feeling that, like, is it going to be like absolute dominance? Maybe not, but I really feel like we finally have a defensive coordinator that is on par with an offensive mind like Shanahan. Does that make sense? Like a defensive version of Shanahan. Because, some of the quotes, and I even tweeted it out, last night or whatever, but as I was listening to it, but some of the quotes that are coming out of Dean Pease on that particular interview was amazing. And just talking about, you would think it's simple stuff, but it's not stuff I've heard coaches really talk about. It says, if you got a corner that goes down, that's a, primarily man corner, and you have, the next guy who comes in, if he isn't that same type of corner, you can't expect him to run the same kind of stuff. And you sit there and go, well, yeah, duh. But how many times have you had a coach try to force a guy into his scheme versus adjusting to the players that you have? And that was one of the big things that I heard was, we're trying to, like him saying, adjusting his scheme to the players that he has and the opponents that he's going against. I mean, the fact that, you were talking about in that, because I don't know if he brought up that game in particular, but he did bring up like playing Tom Brady, talking about, one rep you may play a single high safety, next rep you're playing, split safeties.
Yeah.
But, you're rotating, but you're still using the same, that's where that big nickel and big dime come into play.
But JR, well, let me ask you this question though. Like, I think you made a good point, kind of when you talked about the profiles of the defensive tackles though. I think with that 4-3, 3-4 versatility, what's crazy is that I see the interchangeability in some of the picks though, because I could see a Taquan Griffin kind of playing a defensive end, kind of like a big defensive end. Marlon Davidson. I mean, those guys, it will be interesting. Like the defensive line is probably the biggest wild card in terms of it's bigger boom or bust, because I could see, the player from Notre Dame coming in and he could start, to be honest with you, just because, he just looked powerful.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah. He looks strong as all get
defensive lineman. So.
And I'm just now noticing we got Adam Holloway in the chat with us tonight, which is good. I'm glad he's in here tonight. And he's over here saying that and for any of y'all who missed that draft recap with Adam, y'all really need to go back and watch it, because just listening to him talk ball is a pleasure. very knowledgeable about just football in general. So y'all need to go back and check that out if you hadn't already. But anyway, he says, my big takeaway from studies recently is AJ Terrell is going to be tasked with a lot of man on his own. And I feel like you're right, and I think that's something that he can thrive in, is in that,
Right.
man, type position, jamming the wide receivers at the line, and that was something that in that article, not article, but in that interview, he was talking about playing against AJ Green. They said they didn't care anything else about what else was going on the field. They were man up in AJ Green, and they were going to make his day like just live in hell for that time on the field. They were going to make AJ Green's day just a nightmare. And I thought like I haven't heard a Falcons DC ever talk like that. Like ever just absolutely want to just make somebody, because that was a Belichick thing that we had talked about for years with Belichick.
Yeah.
Belichick's going to take away your number one weapon. He's going to make you beat him with somebody else. And that's exactly what I heard in that interview, when he was talking about AJ Green. Talking about rolling coverages, towards AJ and then rolling the defensive line to the other side. And then, making AJ your primary. So, yeah, I mean, I really encourage all y'all to go listen to that. And Adam, since you're in chat, I'm going to bug you and have you put that in chat, if you will, the name of that podcast. Yep. If you can put that link out there, that would be great, because I think everybody should go listen to it. That was an hour or so, worth my time there. Now, It's a Ryan Wonder says, are you saying Graham outweighs Upshaw? I don't think he outweighs Upshaw. I think they're similar in body size. As a matter of fact, I'm going to let y'all talk about that for a second, and I'm going to pull up Upshaw's body type, so to speak. So, yeah.
Yeah. And actually, I guess while we are talking about that, which one of these guys, are there any defensive linemen you guys see that might be ready to explode? I mean, it could be a rookie. Are there any of these guys that we think are going to be, there are defensive linemen that we're not talking about right now that might be ready to go by season, because we got new guys. So it's like, are there any of them that impress you, I guess?
Right off the rip, like as far as like defensive linemen, like I really got high hopes, and it could just be hopes, right? But I really got high hopes for John Kaminsky. I really think that he's got a good chance, but it could just be my propensity to root for the underdog, and John Kaminsky is definitely an underdog. Yeah. Okay, so I got Courtney Upshaw pulled up. He was 6'2", 272. So, and he played outside linebacker, right? So that's just crazy to me. Now I'm going to try to pull up Taquan Graham, if I can. Probably not. Anyway, but Taquan Graham had a similar body size. He was closer to 300 though. I think he was like listed at 296. So, I see him as more of a defensive lineman, so like a 3-tech or something of that nature, which will be really interesting. So, King J118.
But they're gonna.
I was gonna say King tipped us $5, and we appreciate that, King. Go ahead and throw out a comment so that I can read it for you. But thank you for that. So, what were you saying, Jimmy?
I think that T. Graham and Upshaw are built almost the same. And they're gonna get them at the weight they want them to play at. Right. But versatility up and down that line is what I think we aiming at. You one moment you're gonna see them at a true nose, and then one moment you're gonna see him standing up. One moment you're gonna see him with the hand in the ground. And like I said, DPs is wide open. He's open to everything, and he's willing to do anything to win a ball game. So bringing the T. Graham, and I see him moving up and down that line and doing his thing, and I like it, man. I like versatility, and that's what we're going for this offseason.
Yeah, I was gonna say, versatility is definitely the key phrase. Adam brought it up. He said, Dean Pease plays multiple, and he even said that his deal's being flexible and being multiple. And, you know,
That's
I've
right.
heard a lot of coaches say that. I haven't necessarily seen that out of a lot of coaches. What I have seen out of Dean Pease, he does seem very multiple. I think he will be, if there is a reason that this defense turns around, it's going to be, you know, the coaching of Dean Pease, in my opinion. Because other than the secondary, I don't think that we have really, like, I could be wrong in a year or so, but I don't think we've necessarily upgraded in talent. You see what I'm saying? Dante Fowler's still here. You know, we brought back Steven Means. Grady Jarrett's still here. You know, your linebacking core, they didn't necessarily add to it other than Brandon Copeland. You know, so a lot of your pieces are still here. So if you're going to see a reason that this defense shifts in an uptick, I think it's going to be because of the coaching staff. Yeah.
So for me, everything, thank God, comes down to situation football.
Right.
You're going to line up. You're going to use different guys to what you see on the field. So if you got a 3-by-1 set or whatnot, I don't want to get too technical. Then you'll have certain guys playing in there like a Taquan Graham or Grady Jarrett. So all your sets and all that stuff is going to depend on what you're seeing on the field. So all these guys are going to be used, but it's going to be up to Dean Pease in order to be able to know what situations he's using them in, which we know he's going to be able to do. But what got me about Dean Pease that really stuck out to me listening to his show is that he talked about how when he first got with Nick Saban, he thought he was going to run a defense he was familiar with. He said Nick Saban came at him the first time they had got together and gave him a whole new defense he never ran before. And he learned it and mastered it. And so the second time he got with Nick Saban after the Cleveland Brown days, he said, okay, I'm ready this time. I know Nick going to come back with that same defense we ran before. Nick came at him with a totally another defense that they had ran when they were with the Cleveland Browns. And he said he had to learn that and master that too. And the reason why I say that is because I'm going to tell you right now, you know Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot understand the schemes of the game, and they've already told him what they want to do. I can guarantee you that. I can put my money on it, okay, that they've told him that these are some of the things we want to be able to do on defense, considering what's going on in the NFL now. And that's why Arthur Smith wanted to go ahead and bring him in, because he's so flexible and he don't gripe. Right. Okay, he don't gripe about it because he's been in that role for so long, calling stuff that other coaches want him to call, and he's adjusted to it and been able to do it.
Yeah, somebody was putting out there, you know, that Dean Pease is, you know, like a mad scientist on the defense. Adam says, I really don't think y'all understand how good Pease is. LOL, the dude is unreal. And that's what I think, that's what, like, for real this year, I think that's what you're betting on. I think you're betting on Pease being able to come in, coach up this defense, you know, take a guy like Tony Wright is talking about right here with John Kaminsky, saying he had a lot of quarterback hits and knockdowns in 2020, always just a fraction of a step away. Yeah. Now, that fraction can get closed down with this remade secondary. You know what I'm saying? And especially if you start like, okay, one of the big problems that we had with Quinn and you know, Raheem Morris to an extent is they lined up in that cover 3 shell, Quinn did, and he was going, that's what we're running. And there was it was very much a philosophy of my guy is just going to beat your guy. I'm not necessarily scheming to help my guy. Does that make sense? And that's what was also happening on the other side of the ball the past few years. It was just, we're going to just line up and beat you. I'm not necessarily worried about scheming you open, even though why not? You know, if it's going to help, let's do it, but whatever, right? So the idea now that you have an offensive-minded head coach whose philosophy, which we can get into if y'all want to, I think what you saw in Tennessee was an absolute reason. Okay, hold on. The reason why he ran what he ran is because the roster that he had, is what I'm trying to say. Is, you know, you had Derrick Henry, so you're featuring Derrick Henry. He said when he got hired here that he knows there ain't another Derrick Henry out there. And you can see that he ain't trying to necessarily recreate it, because if he did, or if he wanted to, he could have drafted Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not saying Ramondre is Derrick Henry, but he matched up like favorably as far as size and how like the type of runner that he is. Okay, so Arthur Smith could have easily grabbed Ramondre and then tried to recreate what he had in Tennessee. He didn't. He grabbed Pitts in the first round, and I can almost guarantee you it may not be necessarily the first year, but this offense is going to start flowing through Pitts. You know, that's going to be his Derrick Henry.
Eventually, yep.
Yep, sooner than later, right?
That's going to be his Derrick Henry. Okay? It's your generational talent. This is your freak. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if, just out of trying to figure out cap reasons or whatever, that if in the summer Julio Jones don't get traded, I'm not saying he should, just saying that it wouldn't surprise me, because I think that 12 personnel is going to be big for Arthur Smith, but in a different way than what it was up in Tennessee. And it's something I'm still digging into, but I think it's going to be a game changer. Brandon Levy just tipped us $5. Thank you, Brandon. He says, coaching makes a difference. I see you P for P horsemen extrapolating a little bit. That's right. That's what we do, you know. Now, up here a second ago, I'm trying to find it. I need to get back to it. Here it is. King sent out a reply. Says, one player I'm honestly looking forward to is Darby. I think Arthur Smith is going to use him in a variety of different ways, and his play with a lot of energy that I think the team lacked. Now, what I'll say about Darby
absolutely
is I think Darby pushes Blake and OZ potentially off the roster, and I know, I'm sorry, Jimmy. I said Blake. I'm sorry. I know, but I even think that Darby could potentially, like, maybe not this year, but once he gets better at running some routes, could end up pushing Gage off the roster. Myself. What are y'all's thoughts on Darby? I've been talking a lot. Everybody's like, shut up, Darryl. Let other people talk.
Jimmy, what you think?
Let me know. Christian Blake, look here, baby. Just hold on. Big Jumbo Slice is still playing.
Don't do it, Jumbo. Don't do it. Don't do it.
But somebody's in the building though, and this guy, oh man, still type of sleeper type of guy. And boy, if I'm Russell Gage, I'm Ola Monster Kids, Christian Blake, I'm looking behind my back this whole summer. I'm gonna watch that guy, because this guy is almost can do it all. He got the upside, boy. I'm just talking about raw talent and just love the passion and the excitement for the game. You have to watch out for those type of guys like that, because you know why? They'll be doing good and don't even know it. The guys like Darby will be doing good and don't even know they're doing good, only to get better. Hey. Now, this guy's super energetic, man, and you got to be careful, Gage, Zacchaeus, and my guy, Christian Blake. I'm sorry. You just hold on, though. You just fight with him.
Boy,
you might be in the – go ahead, Mike.
Hey, you hit the nail on the head, because I'm going to tell you something. Frank Darby is the type of guy that when you see that guy at practice, and let's say you're at receiving, you're like, you know what, I'm going to just loaf today. I guarantee you he's going to be the guy after practice with the same energy, making you just feel bad about your job. That is the type of guy that you compete with. You get nervous. You don't go to sleep at night, because that guy, he's going to bring that same energy every day. And I guarantee he works out like that. You know what I mean? He you know what I mean? He trains on his own like that. So it's infectious. And I think, I don't be surprised if a guy like Julio Jones take a young butt like that under his wing and just teach him how to harness it a little bit. Because I'm going to tell you something. His energy, when it's harnessed, man, you put that guy in one-on-one situations, which he will get a lot of. Frank Darby is probably my most underrated draft pick that we got the entire draft. And I think we're going to talk more and more about that guy as the years come on.
Now, sure. Dave just tipped the $10 with what looks to be a rolling laughing pear or an avocado.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure what that is, but he did follow it up with a statement that says, love you guys, love the most because y'all don't always agree. Oh, he says, love because I don't always agree with y'all, but it does make sense. Look, you ain't always going to agree with us. We don't always agree with each other. But that's the point, right? Dominic Garza says, I appreciate y'all spreading positive vibes with the Falcons fan community. He says, too many people spread hate and negativity. He named a name. I ain't gonna say it. But needless to say, that is what we attempt to do here, is try to be a realistic, but also just like positive vibe. Because, as we've said it many times before, that's one of the reasons why me and Toby started all this. The positivity is one of the reasons why we brought on Jimmy and Mike. It's because that's what we were trying to portray. Is anybody there's too many people out there that no matter what they say, it is it's very negative, and to a point where I just want to ask them, why are y'all fans of this team? Go root for somebody else, or just stop watching football. Obviously, it's giving you heartburn, so you need to knock it off before you have some serious medical issues. But no, all jokes aside, no, we do try to be positive. Fernando Johnson says Darby's going to be good for the locker room as well. Dude got to make the team. Julio going to coach him up. And that's exactly what, to your point, Toby and Mike, talking about taking the money you need to your wing. And I do think that he's going to be that positive, hype guy. And hype guys are good, man. And, Adam Holloway says Darby also has special team versatility. Look, that's how Gage made this team. Ooh. When nobody thought much about Russell Gage, other than he was going to be the new Eric Weems. You know what I'm saying? He was going to be your new special teams ace, your new gunner, and then all of a sudden he's your third wide receiver. Exactly.
It just kept getting better and better.
Absolutely. Special teams is definitely the way to get it going, get in on the ground, that kind of deal. Now I'm going to scroll back up a little bit because we've had some of these guys hitting us with some paragraphs that I don't want to skip over. Indy says boy, my brain is locked up. Okay, he says the Pitts pick was an adjustment to Julio Jones, not a replacement. Everyone keeps reading it just one way. What has management said about playing all these receivers exactly? And that's definitely a way to look at it. I floated it out, a few shows back, talking about we could potentially be drafting Julio's replacement, not Ryan's replacement, and that was just based off of some of the comments that the front office had made. But I mean, how else? What else makes the end of a career for anybody good? You bring in some other high level talent that takes some of the pressure off, right? So
right.
Go ahead.
Well, but you know what? That's a good point, because it reminds me of when Roddy White was kind of towards the end and Julio came in a little bit. I think you look at the years when we played the 49ers in the division championship game. I can't think of the year 2013, around that time frame. I look at a younger Kyle Pitts, Julio on the end, Calvin Ridley, and I'm like, to be honest with you, just at a per position level, we're a little bit more explosive as a team now than we even were then, to be honest with you. And again, Mike Davis is not Mike Turner, but we're not even close. He will be a hard, tough nose. And I do think, like I said, JR, maybe guys, we can talk about it right now. I think this is Quadre Olison's time, because again,
it could it's as good a time as any.
We got to talk about right now.
Right, and it's something that I'm gonna put out a video. I don't know if it'll be this week, maybe next week, because that's a position that's really intriguing me right now, and that's the running back room. I mean, that's something that I want to dig into, that I'm finding, and I do have to humble brag just a little bit, just a bit. I put out that thread on Twitter about Quadre Olison, some of the way clipping out some of his games from the past, and he actually liked the tweet. So I was like, there we go.
He's watching.
Well, I mean, I did tag him in it. I did put his name in there. So, but hey,
he believed it though. He believed what you're talking about. That's
as soon as you put it out, that they jumped on the train, and other people started to put out Olison stuff.
Yep.
I think Olison is a guy who fits the type of running that you've seen Dean Pease go with. Not Dean Pease, Arthur Smith. We've been talking about Dean Pease all night, so got my words mixed up. But yeah, I mean, I think that Quadre Olison, at least, at the start of the season, could be a solid number 2 back. And like once he gets rolling, he might be a guy who could, take over that number 1 position. Now could be getting, pie in the sky kind of deal. Cortez Sherman's asking, how do y'all feel about Javen Hawkins? I like Hawkins. I'm not like, as of right now, I think Hawkins is a blur of a guy. And I think Hawkins is a guy who, given a chance, it can be a solid, change of pace back for us. So, but I don't know if he necessarily fits per se. Everybody's like, oh man, you could use him, catching out of the backfield. And I'm like, yeah, but to date, that's not something Arthur Smith has shown he has wanted to do. I mean, their number 2 tight end up in Tennessee, Fisker, had more targets than Derrick Henry. And their second running back. I know, maybe not Derrick Henry, but definitely their second running back. I think Derrick Henry only had like 37 receptions. Right. But, their second tight end had like 53 or 55 targets with 30 some odd receptions. I can't think of the number right off the top of my head, but you see what I'm saying? It's like throwing to the back hasn't necessarily been part of that offense. I'm not saying it can't be.
So I will say this. In regards to that. You utilize the players that can do what it is you call them. If you don't have strength in the backs to do it, you're not going to use the backs to do it. I know there's plenty of times where they use Jonnu Smith to run running back, typically running back screens, that the running backs run. Now you have that strength over here because you got guys like Mike Davis. You're going to use Cordero Patterson in the running back room. You got Quadre Olison in the running back room. And the advantage I think Javion Hawkins is going to have is because Dwayne Ledbetter was the offensive coordinator last year over at
Leffert. No, hey, hold on.
Yep.
Okay, I can't let you do it because you're making D'Orlando Ledbetter offensive line coach, and I saw it, and okay. You on the roll.
So, and you already heard Arthur Smith say that both of them are aligned on the outside zone philosophy, which they ran over there in Louisville. Right. Okay. So when you got a guy like Javion Hawkins, who reminds me of Anton Smith, by the way, that's who I see when I watch him run. Home run hitter. Hit it out the park. We watched Anton Smith back in 2014 take like 5 touchdowns on screens to the house. This guy kind of reminds me of that type of guy that can do it to you.
Which is why I wanted to tell my ACL one more time real quick, because I know we just talked about Quadre Olison. We can end the show on a torn ACL. Like, it's a good time to do it. Which is why when I look at, honestly, he's a small guy, 5'8", 183 pounds. I do think that. Now, to be honest with you, you nailed it. Cordell Patterson, screen. I think we got that element. I think he'd be good with the screens and all of that kind of stuff. But his familiarity with this outside zone scheme, he's one of those type of guys that will hit it. He's a home run hitter at any time. And what are we missing in our backfield? Home run hitters. And I don't really mean like, we know what Ito Smith is, kind of what he was or whatever. But this guy, I'm going to tell you something. He got speed for days. So if he comes in and learns the playbook and hits those holes like he potentially could with the familiarity of this offensive line coach, again, we'll talk more about that guy because I won't write him off. I say it worse. He's a practice squad guy, but definitely got a shot though for sure.
No, dead up. Like somebody was in the chat was hitting up talking about Caleb Huntley out of Ball State.
Beast.
Like he's another big guy, hard, balance, like real good balance. He reminded me just off the few games I watched. He reminded me like the way he ran, and y'all are gonna like crucify me. But the first one that popped in my head was Marshawn Lynch. Because Marshawn Lynch runs like at that weird balance. At least it looks like a weird.
No,
it almost looks like he's running off balance, but he's not. You know what I'm saying? It's just how he is. And that's kind of the vibes that I got from Huntley. B staying in the chat saying hot take. Davis, I'm thinking he's talking about Mike Davis here, over 1,000 yards. Hawkins over 400 yards, and averaging 5 yards a carry. That would be great, dude. Like straight up,
like it's possible.
The running back room, like very much intrigues me.
Yeah,
like
We
you
got the
know,
whole summer on that one. I can't
yeah,
wait.
you're
to
right.
jump
It's
in.
something that
Absolutely.
I am
Y'all just stay tuned.
right. I am very intrigued about the running back room because they didn't do what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to add a back. This was a pretty deep draft,
Right.
to add a back in. They didn't add a back. Then they went out and added 2 backs in the undrafted that some people were high on, the Hawkins kid and the Caleb Huntley kid. So
And,
go ahead.
and JR, one more thing
Yeah.
on Hawkins. Actually, what I realized was he was actually the number 1 undrafted free agent for a running back. Like after the draft was over with. So we got the top undrafted running back who potentially he was mocked in the 4th, 5th round by certain people. So
I saw
definitely wouldn't be
I saw Hawkins all over the place.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let's see. Anonymous says Mike Davis is one of my favorite receiving backs in the league. Now he did have over 1,000 all-purpose yards last year up there in Carolina, and Carolina didn't do a lot of running. Like with McCaffrey out of it, they didn't do a ton of running. It was more running and receiving. So, his ability to catch the ball coming out of the backfield, I think could potentially be huge.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, it is it's going to, like I said, this offseason, a lot to think about, a lot to try to dissect as far as schemes and stuff like that goes. Like how we can use certain players, which is what we'll be getting into. And we haven't really even talked about Cordell Patterson being listed as a running back. That was something else that's kind of slipped out. Granted, I don't know. That doesn't move the needle much for me.
One more thing too. We hadn't even talked about Hayden Hurst not getting his 5th year picked up, even though we kind of saw that.
Well, let's get into that for a minute though.
Yeah.
Like, we'll kind of wrap the show up on a Hayden Hurst. That's a good point that we hadn't gotten to yet.
Good point. Yeah.
It is like well documented that in Tennessee, and I'm going to keep putting it like this, because unlike guys like Kyle Shanahan who had been in different places and running the same stuff, Arthur Smith has only been an OC at Tennessee. So, like, that's the only, like, snapshot we have of him as being OC. So, I'm going to start phrasing it as, instead of saying what Arthur Smith likes to do, I'm going to say what he did at Tennessee. So, what he did at Tennessee, everybody knows it was a lot of tight ends. He ran the 12 personnel, I think, second in the league, only to Philadelphia. And they also followed up with a lot of 13 personnel, which, for those who not 100% sure, that means 2 tight ends in a 12 personnel and then 3 tight ends of 13 personnel. So what they did a lot with that 12 personnel is that second tight end played a lot of blocking and lined up a lot of, lot in the fullback position, a lot in the, just so you never know who was coming out and who was blocking.
Right.
So now you take that same concepts of 12 personnel, and I think Hayden Hurst is a little bit better of a blocker than he gets credit for.
Yeah.
Myself.
Right.
I think that you put him on the field with Pitts, which they confirmed today. Justin Peele, the new tight ends coach, and yes, it is that Justin Peele, the former tight end for the Atlanta Falcons, is now our tight ends coach. He already confirmed that you were going to have Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst on the field at the same time. And I'm like, yeah, well, duh, like why wouldn't you? That would be almost like, hamstringing yourself, in my opinion, having 2 dynamic pass catchers on the field at the same time. You imagine rolling out on the field with, Julio on one side, Ridley on the other, and then right back up off the line, you got Hayden Hurst and Kyle Pitts.
Oh,
Yeah.
frightening.
It's kind of like Brandon Levy said. You load that box if you want to. You're probably gonna be in trouble. I bet you won't do it. Go ahead, Toby. I'm about to get.
Hey, get fired up, Doc. Get fired up.
Before y'all get fired up, big truck trap star says Huntley is more like a Ron Dane, Jerome Bettis running style.
You got to be from the Midwest. He got to be from the Midwest when he said that, because you're right. That is an old school role. You know what? he might be the running back that come out there next year with no gloves on ever and just goes out there and plays football.
It just does it.
I like it.
Love the profile.
Hey, I got to say something about Hurst. And I think this explains to me the indicator why they're not picking up his fifth-year option. Justin Fields dropped a little nugget saying that he has improved since the time he evaluated him coming out of college.
Right.
And that tells me, he improved, but not enough to where I'm going to pound the table and say, you guys got to figure out how to get this guy's fifth-year option there. So while we're going to use him this year, I don't see him back.
If we'll see if he earns it, and we'll see if we can figure out how to pay him.
My only thing on Hurst is winning cures everything. If we go on a run and he's a critical part, we'll try to do what we can to sign him. But if it's a tooth and nail season, like we're kind of prognosticating, that go to $5 word. Then hey, we'll see. But yeah, I'm with Toby. I'm with probably pretty much everybody else. This might be his farewell to us. So
it could be. I mean, and look, and if it is, for everybody who says, "Oh, you traded a 2nd-round pick for him," first of all, that was a 2nd-round pick you got for Mo Sanu. So keep that in mind. And second of all, that was a 2nd-round pick traded by the old regime.
Right.
This new regime ain't got no ties to anybody, really. So, all right, I'm going to hit up a few more of these comments, and then we're going to wrap this thing up because we done bumped up over an hour. Ryan Chiller says, goal line and 3rd and 4th and shorts should not be problematic anymore. I hope not. I really do. That's something else I want to look at, like how effective, was Arthur Smith's offense at picking up 4th downs, at picking up short yardage, stuff like that. Probably very effective with Derrick Henry, but, we'll see how that goes, right?
I can tell you right now, he like to throw it a lot on 3rd down and 2.
See?
So
there's that tidbit for you.
That's a Kyle Shanahan
type deal, right?
Type of aggressive style.
Let's see. Somebody asked Millie Mills, what do y'all feel? How do y'all feel on Felipe Franks? Okay, Franks is going to be a really good practice squad guy this year. And the best practice squad guy. And if he develops, he might be the number 1 clipboard holding protege next year. Okay, look, Franks has got a lot of the tools, but he lost out his job, so to speak, in Florida, and he just wasn't very consistent. He's got a big arm, but consistency has been an issue with Felipe Franks, which is why he transferred and lost out his starting job down in Florida. So I'll be interested to see what he looks like in preseason, and I'll be interested to see if he can hold down the backup job next year. So, all right, now Stu the Pepperhead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Anybody else got thoughts on Franks?
Real quick, I just real quick, 2 seconds. I just still don't feel right about the Julio Jones thing right now, man. I need to see him in camp before I can say he's gonna be here, guys. Cause something just tell me in my spirit there might be some shaky things going on, especially with the news we just heard about consistent practicing. I don't know how you're gonna take that. So I'll just say
that's something that we didn't really get a chance to touch on. But yeah, that could be something to keep an eye on. All right, Jimmy, can you see Stu's chat?
I can, but I was leaning on you.
Okay, all right, here we go. All right, look.
Cause they want you to say
I didn't
it,
see
Jay.
my name in that thing. I didn't in that pair. Okay, look. Stu done tipped us $20.
And I ain't even looking at live chats. Y'all I'm over here like, what we got, baby?
Okay. Protuberant picks propagate a promising propensity per prognosticators. Don't mess me up. I'm going to skip that one. Pertaining primarily to pound for pound, pontificating positive predictions pertaining to picks. Yo, whatever the word salad, I love the draft. Stu,
I like Stu, man. I like
Stu, man. Trying to give me a headache.
Stu be coming with it, boy.
Did.
Hey, JR,
I know it. Look, but hey, it's y'all keep it going.
And it has caught on.
And you know what, Stu? I don't like you for making JR skip a word. Shame on you, Stu.
Y'all know I have the vocabulary of a third grader.
Word too.
But
mine must be first.
Yeah.
All right. Once again, we have done it, and we have bumped up over an hour. We're at an hour and 11. We appreciate y'all greatly for joining us tonight. Having a lot of fun. And like I said, keep your eyes on the channel. I think Jimmy and Mike are going to have something on the undrafted class that we signed coming out this weekend. Thank y'all all for who, helped us get over 4,000 subscribers. That was amazing. This summer, we're going to give away a gift card. And I'm going to come up with a fun way to do that. So thank y'all so much for that and for, spreading that love. And, so like I said, yeah, we're going to give away a gift card, later on this summer. Help y'all buy a Kyle Pitts jersey or a, Caleb Huntley jersey, whatever you're trying to get your hands on. But as always, last one in, Big Truck Trap Star.
Big Truck
says Pitts without Julio, only substitutes, doesn't elevate the offense. Together it's mismatch, separate, and just another top 5 pick. No, you're right. Like if we can get it another year or so, that's a good way to look at it. That's
a subject for another.
It
is,
and it's something we're gonna continue to get into. But as always, Falcons fans, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Jimmy,
don't call me no State fan. Catch me on Twitter at Jimmy Obama, JIMMYOBAMA. Hey, thank y'all, man. Y'all are really appreciated over here at Pound Fine ATL. Y'all just don't know it. Big Mike.
Hey, man, follow your boy, Mike Dub, MIKE_DUB. Every week, love. We love it, love it, love it. Toby D, take these boys home, man. And girls.
Toby D, 1991.
And then for those who didn't hear it, we did launch a Patreon. If y'all care, for that kind of stuff, you'll get access to a private pound for pound Discord chat channel where you kind of get the thought processes of me and Jimmy and Mike and Toby as we go throughout the week. And then you'll also get access to exclusive videos and stuff like that as we go through. And this week's patron is Mark Davis. He has signed up with us and we appreciate him. And so like I said, if y'all want it, it's there. So, but anyway, love y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.